Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in this video we're going to be using a building a beat generating drum machine that's pretty advanced, so it's going to count as an extra credit project, but it's also one that I really enjoyed. So the way that you can think about this app is for each beat within a loop, you get to decide whether that beat plays the instrument or not. So here I can think about a simple beat with the clap, and I can say that we should go clap and turn the clap on for the first beat. And that way every time we hit beat 1, we clap, and then the rest of the beats, nothing happens. So here we can make clap, clap, rest, 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 rest, clap, clap, rest, clap, clap, rest, and so on. And when we play the beat here, it will do that. Unfortunately, because I'm using the headphones for the quality of the sound here, we can't actually hear it, but let's see. It plays. And then what you can do is you can make the beat more complicated by saying make the bass drum play every 3 beats or something, and so on. And you can make kind of a cool complex beat here with these sounds. And if you don't like your beat, you can stop it, and then you can re-change the configuration here, and then it will play, when you click the play button, your updated beat. So I've got these collection of sounds that I found last year that for some reason I must have really liked. They're totally insane sounding. So this is a good one for like an electronic, rave, crazy beat. But if you want to find your own sounds, of course you can add your own sounds. Or if you're into more basic drum sounds, which probably I am, you could have, from the drum kit, you could actually take the sounds that we used for that and then program the drum kit in here so that you have those sounds instead of the crazy sounds. All right, so let's get started coding. I am going to be starting with some starter code, and the only thing in the starter code basically is just the sound files because I didn't want to have to re-find those and download them. So let me fork my own code here so that I have a brand new copy. And I'm going to call this beat machine video because I did a practice version yesterday because there was some new stuff I had to learn. Which I usually like to do on video, but this one might have been a long video if I had to learn it. All right, so I'm going to pop this open to the full screen version. I'm going to pull it over here. Let's just see. Okay, yeah, pull it over here. And I'm actually going to start this project in a different way than I usually start the projects. So there's another way that really you can design a web app like this, which is to build the functionality, and then to build the interface, and then to build the connection in between the two. So I found this easiest to think about by building my JavaScript app first, and then by adding in the user interface with the HTML and CSS. So I'm going to start off by designing an array for each of these things, because what I think about here is I think about these as 16 objects. So I'm going to say let base array equal, and if the beat plays, I'm going to call it 1, and if the beat doesn't play, I'm going to call it 0. So I'm going to do I'm adding in a couple of 1s here, and I'm going to try to do 16 of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right. So I've got a base with a couple 4 beats total where it plays, and the rest 0 where it won't play. And so I'm going to add in an array for each of these. So let me just copy and paste this, and I'll do a clap array. Now I'm going to use the multi-selector, and I'm going to turn off all of the claps. So I highlight the 1, and then I do Command or Control D, depending on whether you're on a MacBook or a Chromebook. And I select all of them, and I type it in as 0. So I'm going to have no claps to start. I'm going to do a laser array. I'm going to do a metallic array. And these arrays are just lists of whether we want to play the sound or not. So what I'm saying here is don't play any sounds on any beats except for the base array tells us to play the bass drum on the 1st, 11th, 12th, oh no, sorry, 1st, 12th, 13th, and 14th. No. 1st, 12th, 14th, and 15th beat, because there's 16 of them. Sorry about that. All right, so let's see. The next thing that we're going to want to do here is I'm going to create a set interval. Because whenever we think about music, what music really is it's a group of things repeating over time. And in this case, what it is it's a group of 16 beats repeating over time. So I'm going to say let counter, or let beat equal 0 to start. And then I'm going to create a set interval, which is something that repeats over time. And the thing that's going to repeat over time is this function. And then we have to put here the speed with which it repeats. So I'll do every second to start. Now, just to make sure that things are working, when we think about going through this list, we're going to start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 0, 1, 2. And that's the way that our beat has to increase. So every time through the loop here, we're going to increase the beat from 0 to 16 repeatedly. I don't know, I can't spell right now. It's too early in the morning. So beat is going to equal the old value of beat, 0 in this case, plus 1. The next time through the loop for the set interval, the beat will be 1. So now our beat will equal 1 plus 1, 2. Now the only danger we run into here is because our lists have 16 items, this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then after 15, we want to reset back to 0 so we play in a loop. So what we can say here is if the beat is greater than 15, so like if it's 16, then set the beat back to the 0th number, and then we'll go back in time to the 0th. So now I think we've got our beat working. Let's just do a visual to make sure by console.logging the beat value. So what we should see here is when we refresh this with the console open, and please check this because this is going to be a complicated code. What you should see, and if you don't remember how to open the JavaScript console, on the Chromebooks it's Control-Shift-J for JavaScript console. You should see that when we press refresh here, it actually counts our beat. And 1 second seems a little slow here, so why don't I make that every 10th of a second? All right, here we go. And then it goes back. So yeah, we've got like our little metronome going basically, and it's counting off the beats over time. And then every time it hits 16, it resets back to 0. So this is looking super good. All right. So let's see. What we're going to do next is I'm going to program it probably just for the base array, because that's the one that actually has these. And then we can use some copying and pasting to program it for the other arrays. So I think what we can say here is if, base array dot for each no, we don't want to do that, sorry. What we have is we've actually already got a way of going through each of these, so I'm going to delete that. We can say if base array is equal, or base array at the beat number. So in this case, it will start with 0. Base array 0 is equal to 1. Then what we can do is we can do a console.log b for base. And then if it's 0, we don't want to do anything, so I'm not going to write an else statement. So let's see if this works. So on, oh man, it's a little fast here. Let's slow it down back to 1 second. So what we should see is on the 0th, the 12th, 13th, and 14th, we should see a B afterwards. So 0 gets a B. Then the rest of these don't get a B because there's no bass playing on those until we hit the 12th, 13th, and 14th, and those should each get a B. And then 0 gets a B again, and 1, 2, 3, 4 don't get Bs. Okay, great. So I think it's working, basically. Now, we have to add the sounds in. So what we can do is we can select the elements on the page that we're going to interact with. So we first have to add these audio elements to our web page. So I'm going to do an audio element with an ID of bass using the shortcut here. And as long as this blue thing is there, it will open properly. And then this is going to be bass.wave. Now I can do some copying and pasting to add in all of these audio elements. I'm going to highlight the word bass here. And then the next one will be clap, and it will change it in both places. Highlight the word bass, Command D, and then laser. Highlight the word bass, and then Command D, metallic. Highlight the word bass, and then Command D, static. And this one I have to change because the file type has a different extension. It's .ogg instead of .wave for my last sound. All right, so I've got my 5 sounds as HTML elements. So next up, we have to add those sounds in here. So let bass equal document.querySelector, the thing with the ID of bass. And we're going to select all 5 sounds. So I'm going to copy and paste 5 times. And then using some highlighting and multi-selector, Command or Control D, I'm going to make it so that I change it in both locations in each line to each of the sound names. All right, cool. So I think I've got all the sounds selected now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change out this console.logb for playing the sound. So I'm going to say bass.currentTime is equal to 0. So every time we play the sound, I want to restart it from the beginning of the sound effect. And that's what this will do, is it will rewind the sound effect, the bass wave sound effect, and then we want to play it. All right, so if it has a 1 there instead of a 0, we'll play the sound. Let's see if it works. Okay, it's super loud and cool. Let's see. Okay, so I am getting an error here, and you'll probably get the same error. And the reason why is the website doesn't want to play sound unless we interact with it. So every time it should play the sound, it's telling me it doesn't want to play the sound because we haven't interacted with the document yet. But if I click on the document, now I've interacted with it. So now it should play the sounds. So let's see if on 12 it plays the sound now. Yeah, it does. And 13 and 14, it plays the sound. Okay, so I'm going to refresh this so it doesn't keep playing those loud sounds. Let's see. I guess that what we can do is we can do some copying and pasting here. So we could say, okay, well, we want to do the same thing for clap, where if the clap has a 1, we play the sound. Oop. Oh, wait, actually, oh, man. Okay, cool. I'm actually good with that. I don't want it to play, so I'm liking that the errors are happening. And we'll fix that in a second, but here we go. We're just going to make it so that it also looks through the clap array, and if clap array 0 is 1, then it will play clap, and so on. As the beat number changes, it will look at each of the different things inside of the array. So here we'll do clap, here we'll do metallic, oh no, laser is next. Here we'll do metallic. And here we'll do static. So now all of them should have some playing. So if I want to check this out, what I can do is I can just make the clap happen like all the time. All right, so I think that's enough. So we'll have 8 claps in a row, and I'll tell you if it works. So I'm going to go here and then click on the document. Okay, I have to refresh it again because it... I seem to be getting the bass drum playing a lot. Did I not change the sound effect? Oh wait, okay, metallic array is having a problem. Metallic array is misspelled because I can't spell metal. So I think that might have been the problem there. Okay, let's see if that... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I'm getting a ton of claps now. Awesome. So basically we've got a working app here, except the user interface isn't programmed. So let me program the user interface next. All right, so let's see. What are we going to want in our user interface here? We're going to want to have a couple of things. We're going to want to have 2 buttons. Maybe those are the easiest to program first. So we'll create a button with the ID of play. And that button will say play inside of it. We'll create a button with the ID of stop. And that button will have the word stop inside of it. So let's program those first. And that will make it a lot easier to work on the app because we'll actually be able to start and stop the sounds. So let me add some more notes here. These are the audios that we selected. Now these are the buttons that we're selecting. So we'll say let play equal document.querySelector, the thing with the ID of play, and then we're also going to select the stop button, which is the same thing, except it's going to be called stop, and it will have an ID of stop. So what we'll do here is we'll say, okay, all of this, let's see, all of this we really want to have happen when we press, I'm going to cut out this loop, and I'm going to say when we press play, we want to do that. So what I'll do is I'll do play, I don't know, program the buttons. So I haven't deleted everything we coded. It's all in the cut Command X or Control X. So we'll do play.add event listener. And we'll do a click event. And then we're going to run a function when this gets clicked, and that function is basically to do everything that we've already programmed it to do. So when we press the play button, now it will cause the interval to start. And I'm just going to tab that in so I can see that that's inside of the play button. All right, now in order to stop it, we actually have to give our interval a name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the interval a name here. I'm going to say play let loop here, and then I'm not going to give it a value. So basically or I'm going to call it loop interval so that I know it's really like the set interval thing. And I'm going to say let loop interval here. So it creates the variable in memory in the global context is what that's called. And then here, once we press the play button, we'll define the loop interval to be this guy right here. So now our loop interval stands for this set interval loop that's running. Let's make sure that our play button works. Oop. So I'm going to reset this. And actually, when I reset it, let's see. The console is empty if I reset it enough times and let it catch up. And now when I press play, it should start to fill the console and play the beat. Okay, awesome. So it's working. Now I want to make the stop button work because I want to be able to stop it without having to constantly refresh the page. So to make the stop button work, all you have to do is you have to say stop.addEventListener. It's going to be a click event on the stop button. Then the function that we're going to run when we stop it is we're going to start off by clearing off this interval. So we'll do clear interval. And the thing that we're going to clear is named loop interval. And that will get rid of this looping set interval that plays the beats. And now I also want to stop all of the sounds, so I'm going to do bass.stop, because that's the first sound, clap.stop. Oh no, it's not dot stop, it's dot pause. That always throws me off. Pause, clap.pause, laser.pause, and it's for each sound, metallic.pause, and static.pause. I'm going to fill in my semicolons at the ends of these lines. And let's see now if it's working. All right, so I'm just going to refresh it a bunch of times because it takes a minute to catch up. All right, so play works, and then stop works. And one thing I don't like is that, you see how I stop on beat 7? If I press play now, it continues from beat 7. So the last thing I'm going to do for stop is I'm going to say beat is equal to 0. So what we'll do is we'll take this beat value and reset it back to 0 so that we're ready to play from the start. So now if I stop it on beat 9 and I play, it starts again from the beginning. Cool, I'm liking this. All right, so this is basically the working app, but it's really only good for a programmer who can come in and change these ones and zeros. And it doesn't really work very well for us as the user. So let's build out this array graphic, basically, which will allow us to change these values by clicking checkboxes. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to create, let's see, a div, in the HTML with a class of, I guess, I could call it content, or I could call it drum machine, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call that content. I might move the buttons into that later. Inside of this, we're going to have 5 rows. So I'm just going to build 1 row, and then we'll use some copying and pasting to change it. So here we go, div.row, and that will be a row of things all together. So here's that. I'm going to have the first one called base. So here I'm going to use a new element for us called the span element. And it's basically like a paragraph, except it doesn't put an enter at the end. So inside of the span, I'm going to put base ... And then I'm going to have a bunch of checkboxes. So we're going to have 16 checkboxes. And let me start by putting one checkbox. So input type checkbox. And let me refresh my page now. So you can see that the checkbox comes with a very different style than how I was styling it in the app. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to be giving these a class of box, and that way I can style them easily. And I'm also going to be giving them, let's see, a couple of other things. I want to store some data inside of these elements. So if I inspect this element, you'll see that this has, let me just make that large enough so that that doesn't mess up, and then this large enough so you can see it. You'll see that these input checkboxes also have some data about which sound. So this is a base data called data sound base as an attribute, and then data beat equals 0, because this is the 0th beat. And if I move over to this, this should be the 15th beat. So you'll see that this stays as base, because it's still from the baseline, and it's also the beat number 15. This should be laser 1. This should be laser 1. Let's see if that works. Yeah, laser beat 1. So by storing this data on the HTML object, it'll make it so that the JavaScript, when I click it, can read which sound effect is being modified, and then also which beat we are modifying. So I don't want to create these one at a time, but we're going to create them as a group, but I think it might be easiest to see it like this. So data sound is going to be equal to base, and then also data beats is going to be equal to 0. Let me just confirm that I did that correctly. Yes, okay, cool. All right, so I want to create all 15 of these for this row super fast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to use the shortcut here. So it's going to be input dot box, because it has a class of box, with type equal to checkbox. Oop, no. It got rid of my shortcut thing. Input dot box type equals to checkbox. Oh no. Okay, so I'm going to delete the dot box there. Let's see. Type input type. How do I do this? Why isn't it working? Okay, so my shortcut's not working here. Let's see. Input. Checkbox. Oh, I don't want to do that. Nope. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, so it is going to work. Okay, cool. I can see that it's highlighting it now. So type is checkbox. The beat, I actually want to have it automatically increase. So I put a $sign there. And now when I do times 16, here it will create 16 of them. And it will plug in for that $sign the numbers 1 through 16. So I think that's correct. Okay, awesome. So I guess I didn't really want 1 through 16. I only wanted 0 through 15. So I'm going to delete the 16th one. And now I've got checkboxes for each of these things here. So sorry about that. Let me load that. That looks good. I'm going to create a row for each of the instruments. So this will be the bass row, clap row, laser row, metallic row, and static. So the last one is static. And then the other thing that we're going to have to change here is we want the sound for each of these with Control D to be static. We want the sound for each of these to be metallic. And I want the span here to say metallic as well. We want the this one to be laser. And then this to say laser here. And then this one is the last one we'll need to change using the multi-selector, which is this should be clap. And then this is clap. All right, so our interface is starting to look pretty good. We need to change a couple of things, so let's do that. So I'm going to go over to, not the JavaScript, but the style. One thing I don't like is how metallic is a longer word, and then it doesn't, it shifts the checkboxes. So let's give our span, which is that new element type, which each of these are in, a fixed width of something like 100 pixels, and see if that realigns these properly. I have to refresh it a couple of times, I think. It's not working. Let me just check to make sure that we have, yeah, it is span. Ah, okay, I remember now. I have to change the element type here to display inline block because an inline element can't have its width changed like that. So now by making it inline block, now with a couple of refreshes, it works. All right, nice. Next up, we want to change the styling of our checkbox. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the input elements and we're going to make their appearance none, which will get rid of the old appearance. And then we're going to replace their appearance with styling the boxes. So I'm going to give them a width of 30 pixels, a height of 30 pixels. So now the box should look like that. Also, I'm going to make the background black. And then I'm going to do box.checked. And what this will do is it will style it when it's checked to make, I don't know, I'm going to change it up. And this time I'm going to make the background green when we check it. And let's see if that works. So now these are black. And when we check it or click it, the background turns green. Awesome. I like light green better, I think. I'm not going to spend too much time styling this. So it's not going to look as good as I'd hope it would. But cool. I kind of like how that looks. All right. So let's see. We've got the styling, we've got the HTML, we've also got the JavaScript. The only thing is that they're not linked to each other. So let's link things up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select the checkboxes. And the way that we're going to select them is we're going to start off by using a document.querySelectorAll to select the whole group of checkboxes. So checkboxes is equal to document.querySelectorAll. And we'll select all of the things with the class of box. All right, sweet. So then what we're going to say is go into that group, link up the checkboxes with the arrays we created above. So here what we're going to do is we're going to say go into the checkboxes list, and for each of those, take them one at a time, which will be one checkbox. And then for each checkbox, what we want to do is we want to say, when the checkbox is, put an add event listener on the checkbox so that when it's clicked, we run a function. And the function that we're going to run is we're just going to start off by doing console.log checkbox. And then I want to log the data from it to make sure that it's getting the data properly. Data set. I think it's like that. Dataset dot. Oh my gosh, what are the name of my datas? Beat is one of them, and I think sound is the other. So console.log checkbox dot dataset. I think it's a camel case like that. Dot sound. No, what is it? Oh, it is sound. Okay, so dataset allows it to access the data attribute, and then sound and dataset for beat. So I'm going to do sound first, and then beat. And I think this is going to cause an error. I don't think I did this correct, but let's see if it works. So now every time we click a checkbox, it should log, okay. I think it's dataset lowercase. So this should allow us to access the sound and beat data that we put on the element itself. So clap 1, clap 0, clap 15. Sweet. Okay, awesome. All right, so now what we really want to do is we don't want to log these things. We want to store these. So I'm going to say let clicked sound equal the sound that was clicked, which is the data. Go into the data set for that element and get the sound. I'm going to say let clicked beat equal this, but instead of just taking the value, I also want to turn it into a number because I'm going to use it as a number. And then I'm going to say if the clicked sound is the base, so if the thing we click here comes up with base, then I want to go to the base array. Oops, then I I want to go to the base array and eventually change something inside of this array. But what I want to say is if the checkbox itself has the property checked, then I want to make inside of the base array, I want to make this base array at the clicked beat position. So if I click this one here, it will go to the 0th position. If I click this one here, it will go to the 1th position. And so where we're storing this number 0, 1, 2 is inside of the dataset beats. So clicked beat. So we'll go like that. If the checkbox is checked, then I'm going to make the base array have a clicked, the base array at the clicked beat location equal to 1. If we are unchecking it, so in the else case that we're unchecking it, then I'm going to make that position equal to 0. And here I'm going to turn all of these into zeros. And then lastly here, I'm going to do a console.log base array just to see if it's actually modifying it properly. All right, so I want to stretch this out a little bit so that they're all on one line. Okay. So here we go. When we click this, it modifies the base array by changing the first one to a 1. Now we have the first one and last one as 1s. All right, it looks like it's doing the right thing. Let me unclick this one, and now it does that. Sick. If we change the clap one, nothing should happen. It just keeps logging the base array. But if I go over here and I press clap array, we should see, oh no, we haven't programmed the clap array yet. Okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to delete this console.log because I don't really want to see the base array anymore. I know that the base is working. So I'm going to take this same thing and I'm going to say for any of them, which is 5 sound effects here, if the clicked sound is, and I'm going to highlight this, the bass. No, it's no longer the bass. We'll do it for clap. So now it changes it in all the places. The laser, metallic. Oop, I forgot to change it here. Sorry about that. I have to do that one more time. And then here, this is static. All right, static. Command D, static. All right, so now what we've got is it should be modifying all of the arrays. So let's just do, I guess I'll put them back. I don't want to put them back. No, I'll put them back. Okay, console.log, base array, console.log, clap array, console.log, laser array, and this way we can check to see if all of the arrays are working. Console.log metallic array, console.log static array. Okay, so I know I'm missing the semicolons, but I don't think it's going to cause a problem. So here we go. When we click the base one, we should see 4 arrays. And I just want to get it so that these arrays display, or 5 arrays, right? 1 for each sound. Let me zoom out a little bit here. And zoom out a little bit here so that, okay, so each of these corresponds to these. And then what we should see is that when we click these spots, let me clear console.clear, I think. Okay, cool. So what we should see is that as we click these, it starts to build out a pattern inside of our arrays that imitates the pattern we see on the page. So 1, and then 0, 1, and then 1. I think everything is working. So the last thing to check is when we press the play button, it should read these arrays and then play it. So let's see if it works. I don't know if my clap sound effect is working, so I'm going to modify it. Oh, it is. It's just much more quiet. So, oh no. Okay, so let's see. I noticed that if I press the play button twice, it messes things up. So I think the last thing is that when we press the play button, yeah, I had to fix this error yesterday, is that before we add the loop interval, in order to make it avoid playing multiple loops on top of itself, we have to clear it first within the play button. So when we press play, clear out the old interval and then play it. So let's see if this fixes things. All right, so now the clap is working. I'm gonna just try here. Yeah, all right. All right, and I think this is pretty complicated for one video. I think there's a variety of other things that we could do to make it even cooler, which is to have it flash through which beat it's playing so that we can see visually that it's playing the beat. But maybe I'll do that in another video, or I'll just do that myself. But now you actually have a drum machine that you could jam with if you play a musical instrument. Or if you just like creating beats, you can probably create some cool beats here. All right, sweet. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and see you in class. Bye.